Welcome to the Women in Leadership Body, Mind, Soul, and Business podcast. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Heather. And together we are working to connect women in leadership and business, empowering each other, improving the health and wellness of our community, body, soul, and mind, sharing the heart and soul of who we are and what we do.
Today's special guest, oh my gosh, I can't wait for you guys to hear and learn from her today. She has been on our podcast a couple of times, and she loves to help soulful women just like you go from feeling confused, overwhelmed, uninspired, to finding that purpose, that sense of passion, to get passion projects off the ground and creating lives that you love, right?
Yes.
And please welcome back to the table the incredible Anna Marie DeGiorigio. How are you?
Thank you. You know I love you guys, and it's always an honor to be here with you. Oh, I just love you guys so much. Thank you again for having me back. So I know that most of us have a mindset around time.
Yes.
So today I would like to unlock time, the hidden code to overcoming overwhelm, finding your focus, and living a life you love.
So I'm so excited. Let's get to it.
I got goosebumps. I was like, real quick, tell the audience who you are in case this is the first time they have seen you.
Absolutely. So I'm Anna Marie DeGiorigio. I am known as the vision coach. And so I help women find their passion by finding their dream and designing that. And the same goes for your dream, the life you want to live. So that's what I've been doing for 20 years, but I branched out in 2019, just before COVID hit. And what a blessing that was, I can tell you. And so here I am, enjoying my time with you ladies once again.
Absolutely.
So have you guys ever heard the saying, there's only so many hours in the day?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, that statement is true because there's exactly 24 hours in each day. One of limitation. Instead of getting stuck in the concept that time is limited, I have a program to unlock time that advocates for the expansion of time. And the truth is, we really don't know how much time we have. And since we're here, we might as well go ahead and live a life we love with meaning. And so in the program that I have, there are 4 lessons. And today I'm going to share one of them with you. And so we're going to dive in, and I'm going to show you this beautiful hourglass that I have on my desk.
That is pretty.
It reminds me of what I'm doing with my time. You see, when we look at the hourglass, we can see as time passes by, and time is irreplaceable, non-refundable, and it is a linear concept in our minds, measured in seconds, minutes, hours, and so on, right? And so it offers a way to experience the past, the present, and of course, the future. And we really don't know how much time we're going to have. Most of us hope for 80, 90, 100 years, but we don't know. And we know people who haven't gotten a full measure of what they wanted. As the sands slip through the hourglass, so do the moments in our lives. And to live full of the moments that we love, we have the capability, but usually not the awareness. And I believe this is your moment, your time to break through, because you're here watching and you're listening, and you don't want to live with that kind of overwhelm anymore, wishing you had more time. So, you ready to transform your relationships?
Absolutely.
Yes,
Let's go.
Greater time. Okay. So the problem is that most of us don't consciously pay attention to where our time is invested, spent, or even killed. So I'm going to tell you a story. I'm sure you've heard it before, but bear with me. So there's a professor. of philosophy. Say that 3 times fast. And he was in front of his group of students and he was teaching them. And he had this big container on his desk. And he stood before the students without speaking. And he put the jar on his desk and he filled this jar with big rocks the size of his fist. And he put one in and he put the other one in and he filled it all the way to the top. And he asked the students, is this jar full? And all of them said, well, yeah. So then the professor picked up smaller rocks, like little pebbles, and he started to pour them inside the jar. Well, what happened to those little rocks?
They filled the spaces.
Yeah.
They filled the spaces. That's exactly what. So he asked the students again, is the jar full? And they said, yeah, now it's full.
Yeah.
And then he picked up some sand and he poured the sand in. And so what did the sand do?
Filled these smaller
filtered.
spaces.
Yes, it filtered all the way in. So now the rocks and the pebbles and the sand are completely full inside of this jar. So he asked one more time. And, the students are kind of catching on and they said, well, yeah, I think it's full. So what do you think he did next? He got some water.
I was like, poured in a can of beer.
That's for those frat kids.
Oh.
But I wouldn't really want to waste that can of beer. So he used water instead because the students would be upset, right? That would be a party foul to them.
Right.
So as he's pouring the water in, any space that was left between the big rocks, the little rocks, and the sand completely filled the jar. And the professor said, I want to leave you with this message. And I want you to take it with you for the rest of your life. Suppose if I had put that in a different order, maybe the sand first or the pebbles, we would have never been able to fit the big rocks in first. And so what matters most to you is the big rocks.
The big stuff.
Is that your family, your health, other relationships, and other things that really matter to you? Those are your big rocks. And if you put them in first, the pebbles and the sand will not get in the way. And so you can really accomplish what you want in your life. And so as the professor paused, and, always remember this, don't put the sand in first. There's no room for the other things. And as the same concept is applied to what we put in our calendars and what we do in our lives, we want to pay attention, right, to the life in the things that we think are critical to us. So my husband, my grandchildren, my children, of course, my grandchildren come first, then the children, because, I did their thing. Now it's all about, Yaya and the babies.
Yeah.
And so I want to make sure, I want to make sure that I have them on my calendar first, because they're my big rocks. And so as we take a look and we go through this experiment, we call this thing life. By unlocking the power and the potential to living while you're living it and really grab onto it. So here's the part where I want everybody to grab a journal or a piece of paper, and then let's do a 4-step alignment check. Can we do that?
Ooh, I love it. Do we have pens? We've been working in a different spot. See what we got. Oh, I got pens.
Okay.
Thanks for giving us a couple minutes. Absolutely. Gives the audience a second too, right? Okay.
That's right. It gives everybody the
This
opportunity
is real life.
well.
It's happening. Okay, pens. And they work.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. So before we start, I just want to say this is not a place of judgment. This is simply becoming aware of where we are. And this is a 4-step process that will support you in recognizing what matters to you the most. And that way you can serve the part of your life and time and energy that you think you really want in those areas, right?
Mhm.
The feeling of deserving to spend time with my grandbabies.
Mhm.
And I encourage you to engage with each step as if it matters, because it really, really does. So this alignment check is foundational to transforming your relationship with time. We cannot shift what we do not notice. So
Right.
if you desire greater time freedom to be, do, have, and give what you would love, give yourself the gift of time and complete this activity, whether you complete it now or watch it again later to fill in the steps. So what we're going to do is step 1. I call that review your month. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab your calendar. And
Okay.
again, remember, this is only an evaluation, no right or wrong, no blame, no shame. All right. It is simply taking note of what is currently happening. And so when you consider what is on your calendar for the past month, in which domain have you spent the most time? What activities have you been doing? With which people in your life have you been spending time? And I'm going to give you a quick share of my screen so I can kind of show you what I'm talking about.
And
this
for
is
those
what
of you
that looks
listening,
like.
we will post the link to this document in the description or in the comments.
Beautiful. And so as you can see, the first column on your left is 4 domains of your life, where they're health, well-being, relationships, your job, your vocation, your expression of yourself. And then at the bottom, it's time and money freedom. And so when you look at your current results, and there's an example on here, so when you see it, you'll get a good idea of what we're talking about.
Mhm.
And so let's say, for example, on Monday, you go to the gym on Mondays and Wednesdays for 1 hour, 5 minutes. That is for 5 hours. And then you walk after, you take a walk after work with a friend for 30 minutes, 4 times, that's 2 hours. And then you have a
Mhm.
food prep for your work week on Sundays. That's 1 hour times 4. That is, I'll make that a little bigger.
Oh, thank you.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you have your meditation Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you do that in the morning for about 15 minutes. So that's 8 times, right? And so
Okay.
now you're looking at, just for this segment for your health, you are at 13 hours. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So when you want to calculate every domain, so relationships, your vocation, your career, or your expression, and how you give your gift to the world,
Mhm.
and then your time and money freedom.
Okay.
And so you're going to take an entire month, but you're going to do this for each week. All right. And what you consider your typical month. And then you're going to assess your time. And so this should really not take about 10 minutes. Just simply skim through the calendar, make notes of activities and the time that you were involved with them.
Don't
And then at
spend
the end,
too much time focusing, right? Because you're not judging yourself.
right, you're not judging yourself. And you can say, I'm spending too much time here, I'm spending too much time there, because that's what we're looking for.
Mhm.
Because in a moment, we're going to go to step 2, and then we'll continue on what to do next.
Okay.
And so as we go through and we've looked at the example of what the column should look like, we're going to talk about step 2. And step 2 is discern your core values. For this step, you're going to consider what are about is putting the big rocks in first. And when you lay your head down on the pillow for the last time, what will you be grateful that you put your time and attention and energy into?
Mhm.
The answer to this question is tied into your core values, and each core value is related to a domain of your life. What comes to mind when you consider what you would be doing that is a living representation of those values,
Mhm.
right? So what would that look like? And if you could invest your time in this activity each month, how much time would you love to do that, right? So allow yourself to imagine what you would really, really love to be doing with your time. And I don't mean surfing every day or, I would play with my grandkids all day, every day, but we know that's not really going to happen. So I have other things and other big rocks I need to have. And again, this does not have to take very long, maybe 10 minutes, although I do encourage you to dream. And that's the part that can take a little longer if you like.
Mhm.
Imagine what you would bring to your greater sense of aliveness when you do this activity. And
Mhm.
let me share with you now this part, step 2. All right, so I'm going to make this a little bigger. Okay, and so as we look at this, it says desired results. What would you love to put your time and energy and attention into? And here's an example. Going on a date night every week with my partner. Core value, meaningful connections. Which domain is this in? Love and relationships.
Mhm.
And the number of hours you would love for this activity. 4 times a month, right? Which would give us 4 weeks. And that would equal 16 hours. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so if we were in health and well-being, I want to win a fitness challenge. Maybe you want to take a run or do a bicycle. What do they call those? And now it just totally slipped my mind, like a 4K run or whatever that, or Ironman challenge.
Mhm.
What does that look
Oh,
like for
yeah.
physical strength, right? For your health and well-being, you want to do that 5 times a week.
Mhm.
And so you're going to go through all of the domains. All right. And so that now brings us to step 3.
Okay.
Notice the gap.
Mm.
This third step is where you begin to make a shift in our relationship with time.
Mhm.
Noticing the gap between our current and desired results allow us to see what we would love more of and what we would love less of in each area of our lives. And
Okay.
again, there's no right or wrong here, none at all. So the point is to simply raise awareness.
Mhm.
So in your journal, I want you to go ahead and write this down. And I will show this to you because this is step 3. And I'll make this bigger again. So as you can see in the first column, we have our current results and the hours devoted to each domain. For example, in health, it is 13 hours. There's a 7-hour gap of the desired results that we would love to have of 20. So we can now see that I want to add more exercise
Mhm.
in that time.
Wow.
And the same thing with our relationship. When we talked about, I want to spend more time with my partner to do more things. And so I had 2.5 hours on there, but I wanted 20. I'm missing 17.5 hours to get to where I want to be.
Mhm.
And so we're going to do that for all of those domains. And so again, we are going to be lined up with our core values. And what does that look like? And
That's
so
amazing.
we want to make sure that
Wow.
as we do this, pardon me?
I said that's amazing.
Yeah,
I can see how this goes into being like figuring out where you're spending too much time versus where
Yes.
you're spending not enough time, and balancing that out and helping you figure out what that might look like.
Absolutely. So many times I have many clients that they always tell me, I never have enough time. I'm always at work. I have kids at home and I'm not spending any time with them. And this is one of the things that we go through. And of course, there's more to it. It's not just this, but it's a whole mindset and limitations that we think, that we have, and paradigms that pop up. If I don't work the hours that I work, then I'm not going to be good enough. Right. And so we work on all of those things.
All of the mindsets.
They can overcome us and keep us in that limited thinking. And so we want to make sure that we look at the gap and then fill the gaps into what our big rocks are.
I like that too, because this is when we talk about having like a measurable SMART goals, like we know some of these tools, right? Like here is a great way to use them in a very measurable way, like and really see the difference of, when I time block this because I want this much time, like it makes more sense. It's like all the pieces come together with this.
Yes. And I absolutely have on my schedule, I have 15 minutes for meditation. I have 10 minutes for gratitude. And I have them placed in my calendar and they're busy. So that means I'm busy at that time and I will not change those. I leave them right there.
Those are your non-negotiables.
Non-negotiables. Those are my big rocks. The more that I am grateful and I talk about being grateful, my subconscious mind can grab onto that and bring me up to that vibration of the things that I'm truly looking for and wanting in my life. So non-negotiables, big rocks. Okay. Step number 4, bridge the gap. Now that you have the awareness of where your time has been going and where you want it to be going, you have the opportunity to make a difference with that precious resource. And while it's helpful to see a list of the hours like this, and right now they're just numbers on a piece of paper, but know this, nothing changes unless you take an action. And step 4 is about determining what activities you could do that would be even more in alignment with what you would love. So for example, if one of your core values is having a closer, more meaningful relationship, let's say with your parents, you make a weekly phone call, and that would be wonderful. Why not take it one step further and plan a weekend or a week-long visit with them? If that's something that you would love and it's in alignment with your core values, schedule it. That's the biggest thing, is to give yourself permission to bridge the gap by doing something you've never done before to achieve the results you've never had before. And so let me share this last screen with you, if you don't mind. All right. So activities to bridge the gap. And I have all of my clients fill this in. They actually type it in saying, here's the 2 at once. This is not something that you have to do all at once, but write down the ideas that come to your mind about the activities that you want to do for that domain, and then schedule it, right? We want to make sure we get it on our calendar, because if we don't put it on our calendar and we don't make it busy, that means nobody can interrupt you at that time. That part can move. Oh, I can change. I can this, I can that. But that's a commitment to yourself.
Right. If you're wavering on those, you're not honoring your own boundaries.
You're not honoring yourself. That's exactly right. And when we don't honor ourselves, others won't honor our time either. And that's a whole nother subject. But keep in mind that you don't have to, again, do all of these activities right away or all at the same time.
Right.
A shift happens gradually, right? So take the time to give yourself, I'm going to do this one activity to get my score from 2 to that 20. And so write them down, put in, what am I going to do to get there, and which ones feel most impactful to you, and schedule it. this is just the beginning of unlocking time. So if you don't believe you can transform your relationship with time, please believe that I know you can.
Oh, that's so fabulous. I mean, seriously, I feel like all of the work and things we've been talking about, like all together, this is like the next right step, right? Like,
yes,
this is how you get to that next right step. This is how you figure out what that next right step is. Like,
yeah, it gives you a guideline. So many times we say, excuse me, I would love to go on a date night with my husband. And what happens? Something comes up, somebody makes a phone call, or, something, blah, blah, blah. So what I do is we schedule every Tuesday night. That's our night together. And then the weekends we have, of course, to do the other things that we want to do together. But if I have something that is important, it can wait till the weekend, because that time from 5:30 to 7:30 is only our time. No phones, no computers, no electronics. It's just the two of us.
I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
He
does too.
Yeah. Coming from someone who I've been married almost 20 years now, and it's not always hard, and you have to schedule that time together. And it's super hard for me and my schedule because he works swing shift.
Yeah.
And so I'm up in the morning with the kids and everything else. And then I see him for like, I don't know, 5 minutes before he heads out the door for work. And then I'm in bed before he gets home. So it's like those weekends are vital. So I try not to schedule things on the weekends for that very reason.
Yeah. That's excellent. That's excellent. 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 Because that's a big rock that's so important to you, keeping that relationship strong. And we can't keep that relationship strong if we keep allowing things to jump in our way. And so that's why, again, I keep this on my desk, because it's a reminder that my time is precious. And I want to make sure that I have it aligned with my core values.
Right. And one of the things that we found handy to do as far as time goes is these daily method of operation things that we have as part of our business is we set a timer for those things, and we will tell what's her name over there on the speaker to set a timer for that specific amount of time. If we plan on, interacting with a social media platform for 5 minutes, we set the timer for that, so that helps create the boundary. So use the tools around you to help frame what that looks like for you.
And it's okay to focus on the activity you choose during that time too. So like, just because you're like, especially like on social media, because it's so easy to get distracted. And that's a lot of times what happens to me. I was like, I derailed. Where am I supposed to be? So if I don't write it down, like the things that I'm supposed to do, I'm in like, woo, fun land, right? But when you're
a shiny object.
Oh yeah, squirrels. What? Yeah, totally. So by doing that, it helps you focus. So don't think that like because someone's messaging you back, and just because you're on social media and someone's messaging you back doesn't mean you have to answer them. Then you can schedule a follow-up time that's when you answer them, and it's okay. You don't have to. So it's learning those things about yourself. Like, you're anxious and excited and you want to respond to people right away, but if you don't stay on track, then things feel like they never get done,
and it gets overwhelming, and your boundaries get crossed.
Yes. So that's like putting the sand in first. And then trying to figure out how am I going to fit those, but you can't. Right. So schedule those times. And so I actually have on my calendar on Monday afternoon and Tuesday morning or Wednesday afternoon to when I look at my social media to respond. So I have specific times that I actually, it goes ding, you have 5 minutes to do so. Right. And so I go and looked at somebody, because I don't want to go 24 hours or 48 hours without responding. But I also may not have the time to when I hear it go ding, for me to go, oh, well, I'll stop recording, right? Because all of my reels, right? I'll stop. Oh, wait, pause. Let me go respond. Though it's important for me to respond, it has an appropriate time.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really big in the online space when we're trying really hard to do all the things and
Yes.
it gets overwhelming because things are going off and things are over here happening and you get really excited because all these things are happening and then the overwhelm hits. You're like,
that's what happens.
all
All
the things are happening. What do I do?
Yes. So schedule it. I remember
love it.
before before COVID and the whole, now everybody's online and that's how we really meet today. I remember it was all about emails. And so you hear that, you've got mail, right?
Yeah.
Ding, ding. And so the first thing you do is like, what? I have email? No, I check my email first thing in the morning and 20 minutes before I go home. And that's it. I don't have that ding, 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 ding going off in my head anymore, because whatever it is, I can get to it and take care of it.
That's some golden nuggets. Like, I feel like there's like so many books that I've read that have like, you just like put them all out and together, which is great because I think as women, we don't fit in one box, especially.
Yeah.
It's fabulous.
So Anna Marie, for this alignment check is, the first step we have is reviewing your month. Okay.
Yes.
Step 2, discern your core values.
I love
Yes.
it.
Step 3, notice the gap.
Yes.
Step 4, bridge the gap. That's like the scheduling and things like that. And I took a ton of notes and there's been so much information. I'm going to go back and re-listen to this a couple of times. Is there anything else that you would like to say to like wrap this all up in a nice,
in a nutshell?
Yeah.
Yes, I would. Don't be overwhelmed by what you see in your calendar currently. Look at the calendar, take note of it, become aware of what it is that you're currently doing. Then sit down with yourself for a moment and just think, my core values, my dream life of what I would love to have happening, and then put it all together. It's that simple. It's not to panic over. Make note, change it, and then do something about it.
I love that.
I love that.
Take action.
So much.
Take action.
Don't get stuck in the freeze. I attended a seminar once and the lady was like, if you're frozen, I think of Michelle Brown, like you got to get up and get your energy moving. And she was, pretend like you're a sumo wrestler and you like huff and put your legs down and take the stance and like just like get your energy going so you're really just strong and then go forward, right? Like take a minute, like I'm frozen, acknowledge it and then move through it. It was really cool.
Exactly right. Who created your calendar in the first place? So you can change it. You can really adjust it to the way you want it to be. Absolutely. Yeah. Build that energy by knowing I own my calendar. My calendar doesn't own me.
Yep. And put your big rocks in first.
That's right. Big rocks in first.
Big rocks in first.
Save the sand for later.
Yes.
We have so many great, amazing things coming up, you guys. Anna Marie, we are so excited to share with you guys that we are going to be on TV on Thursday.
Saturday.
Saturday.
Don't ask us. Saturday morning.
My calendar is a little bit much. Speaking of which, right? Saturday morning.
Yes.
We are
8 a.m. Pacific.
Again on Engage and Shine, 8 a.m. Pacific time.
You can hit us up for the links on how to join us live.
And Anna Marie, I know you love Lisa too, and we love you for sure. Thank you again so much for joining us.
Always, always, always.
And thank you for these wonderful, amazing tips about, getting control of our time, because obviously I need to get control of my time, and maybe my brain files, right? I feel like I have too many tabs open.
So it happens. We've been in planning mode and goal setting. And with that in mind, as we are talking to more women entrepreneurs, we want to make sure that we are always remembering that as we shift from big corporate America to little mom pop and solopreneur life, that we are giving in our communities. So here at the podcast, in honor of the dogs of podcasts that have been all over this episode, we chose this quarter the Boogie Bin, and they are a nonprofit that collects new or gently used pet supplies to help animal rescue. So they have a cute little where is it? What is it? Oh yeah, collect, deliver, repeat. I was like, it was like recycle, reduce, reuse, recycle.
So if your animal's outgrown things or has gone over the rainbow bridge and you would like their items to be repurposed, as long as they're in good working condition, they can do that. And it's just a really great way to support our animals and support the community at the same time. Something else we are really excited for, please visit and say thank you to today's sponsor, Lorelei Shamayo with MeWe Fairs. MeWe Fairs hosts metaphysics and wellness events online and in person throughout the Pacific Northwest. You can find out more at jointhefair.com, and their next in-person events are June 11th and 12th in Linwood, Washington, and July 16th and 17th in Anacortes.
And I think she has like weekly online events. So I thought that was really cool too. That's a lot of work, you guys. So I'm really excited for the space that she's opened up for all of us. It's really cool. And our final announcement today. Season 4 is now open and booking advertisements and shout outs. You can be an honored guest at the table too. So go ahead and hit the website, www.womeninleadershipbsmb.com. And that stands for Body, Soul, Mind, and Business. Oh, thank you so much for joining us today on the Women in Leadership, Body, Soul, Mind, and Business podcast.
We love you.
Namaste.
Mwah.